Okay, so in this video I'm going to go over how to solve these equations and just kind of show you how this warm-up goes, and then we're going to talk a little bit about maybe some questions that you might have had from the homework. So the first thing we're going to do is review the warm-up. Let's just take a look at the first one here. We got 3p and p. Because those are both the same similar terms, and we know this is 1p, that's going to add to 4p if we combine them. And then we can consider this, nothing's changing here, it's just negative 16. Now we know that this is 4 times p, so to get rid of that we will divide by 4, and you'll wind up with p is equal to negative 4. How do we know it's right? Well, we can check it. So if we were going to check it, we would take the number and plug it back in for p, in this case both times. So what you want to do is plug in here 3, and then you want to put times, and you want to put p, which was negative 4, and then you want to do plus p, which was negative 4. You notice the purple there, so it sticks out, and all that was supposed to equal negative 16, hopefully. So that's negative 12, 3 times negative 4, positive times a negative, negative 4, and that actually does equal negative 16. So you have negative 16 equals negative 16, and we know that this is a correct answer. If we look at our second one, we should imagine a 1 here, and we should distribute this negative. So in the beginning it's pretty simple. It's r plus 26, then we have negative 5, and then this is distributing negative times a negative here is a positive 8r, and negative times a positive is a negative 4. So then what we want to do is just simply work on this equation. You might see some similar terms here, the negative 5 and the negative 4, and that gives you negative 9. Otherwise the 8r is staying the way it is. The r plus 26 is staying the way it is for now. Now you want to separate the constants from the variables. Sometimes I say it's separating the ducks from the chickens. So we want all the variables, maybe we put all the variables over here, the variables, and all the regular numbers over here, plain numbers. So if that's the case, what we're going to want to do is subtract the 8r to get the variable 8r over here. We know this is 1r minus 8r, which is going to be negative 7r. Oops, I had a little mistake there. So that's going to be negative 7r. Equals, and we have the 26 still, but if we wanted to cancel out, we could by minusing 26. We could subtract 26 here and here, and we'd actually get negative 35. Final step is to divide, because that's a multiplication by default, and when we divide we get r is equal to 5. Okay. Absolute values. We can forget these at times, so if we look at number 3, we'll see that this, the house as we like to call it, or the bubble, or whatever you want to look at it as, right here, this is not alone yet. So we want to get rid of anything on that side of the equation that's in the way, which in this case is a negative 5, okay, negative 5. So that's gone, and now it's equal to 1. And it's just the absolute value. 7 plus 8x is equal to 1. What happens at this step? Well, hopefully I've taught you well that we are just going to split and solve the individual pieces. We're going to solve it with a negative 1, we're going to solve it with a 1. So we're going to solve 7 plus 8x and 7 plus 8x, 7 plus 8x equal to 1. So we need to basically just solve those two equations. They're not that bad. We'll just go through it quick. Subtract 7. We got 8x equals negative 8. Divide by 8. We got x equal to negative 1. Here, we're going to go through the similar process. We'll just use a different color. Subtract 7 like we were over there. You got 8x equals negative 9. And when you divide by 8, you'll have x equals a fraction of negative 9 over 8, which is fine. And that's our second answer. The trick that we like to think of is when there are two lines here, there are two answers, typically. There's one situation where there's not, but it's pretty rare. Okay, we got a little bit more to do here, so let's try to get through it. This one. So we want to solve for A. So think about this one for a minute. A is up here. We have a b and a fraction. We clearly don't want that. So to get rid of a fraction, which is a division problem, we're going to use multiplication. So this is now multiplied, and that's gone. So now I have BG is equal to AC. And I want A alone, so this is multiplication. So I'm going to get rid of the C by dividing, because that's multiplication, so we're going to divide. And of course, we're going to divide on both sides. This is your final answer. A is equal to BG over C. And the last problem on the warm-up. Last one. Let's give it a shot. So we have to solve for y, so this is our bubble. Remember we talked about the bubble. Anything that's not in the bubble must go, so clearly the x must go, so we'll subtract x. Common courtesy is to put the x first, because these cannot combine together. You must write them side by side because you can't do anything with them. So unfortunately, we are left with just this. But we can do more with this because the y is multiplied by -4. So to get rid of a multiplied by -4, we divide by -4 all the way across. I think it's better to think of this as two separate division problems, which is fine because you have to divide everything on both sides by 4. We have y equals negative divided by a negative. We have a positive 1 over 4. There's a 1 here. X. Negative, positive divided by a negative, -2. That is your answer. So again, the video is nice because you can pause, rewind, look at it again. Somebody can explain. And that's basically that. So meanwhile, oops. Guess we'll keep the color scheme. Sounds good. This is what's going on. You are preparing for a chapter test here, okay? Chapter test, depending on your class. So be ready for it as early as Tuesday or Wednesday if you are in my class, D, E, or F block. Maybe this is an old video and that doesn't apply to you, but just for the most part, this is 2016 and you are going to be taking a test soon. So just get ready for that. Here's your fact. Eiffel Tower, because it's metal, actually shrinks because the metal contracts, and so much metal it shrinks 6 inches in the winter. If you can figure out why this is funny, I'll be happy. 3 out of 2 people have trouble with fractions. So we are preparing for a Chapter 1 test. That's basically the deal today. This is done, and maybe we'll review a couple of homework type problems just momentarily.